so you'll hear me a little bit congested. But all that is it, right? This too shall pass. You're watching the Youth Effect on TDN Network, and you can contact us at the Youth Effect 767 at gmail.com. I am your host, Kathy Robinson Sayan. It's always a pleasure being there to share certain things with you, to engage you in as well as our youth, because you know the Youth Effect serves as a conduit for our youth to give them an expression of their narratives, their lives, help us to close the gap between the generations. You're watching us either at Instagram at TDN Radio Caribbean. You're also watching us on Facebook at TDN ENT or TDN Radio Caribbean, and also on my Facebook, Kathy Robinson Peter. You could also be looking at us at youtube.com/TDN Network 1, TDNTV.net, Twitch TV, which is our new platform, TDN Network, and you're also listening to us on tdnradio.net and SBE Radio, as well as gtmradio.com. So we do have a wide array of places and platforms that you can connect with us and share. So you can like, subscribe, comment, and share. And soon our YouTube channel for the Youth Effect will soon be live. So that's another platform for you to be able to replay, and get some quick notes. Today, our conversation is following up from last week's when we talk about main character syndrome. Today, we are doing part 2, where we're talking on the other end of the main character energy. So it speaks to real community impact, leading your story without losing your cast. If you remember what we were speaking about last week, we spoke on main character syndrome, where in our Caribbean palang, it would be when somebody likes noticing. You know what I mean? The spotlight. Always want to be the spotlight. Everything is always about them. The world revolves around them. And so we're going to talk about where you this time are absolutely the main character. But today also we have a deeper question. Are you writing that story with intention? Or you're just improvising every scene? Intention is full awareness, being fully engaged. Okay? And yes, before anyone asks, we know what today is, or do you know what today is? This is a little test for those of us in the older generations. You say, well, today is April the 20th. Well, let's put it in millennial terms. It's not a new term, but it's being used more now. Call it 420. What is 420? Let's talk about it honestly. 420 has become widely associated with the cannabis culture, marijuana, celebration and conversation around the legalization. In places in the States, for example, like Denver and Colorado, San Francisco, California, these are, you can sense these are some of the very liberal states, right? It's marked by public gatherings and cultural events. Yes, it's so ingrained. But like most cultural moments, it carries layers. It carries something with history, identity, choice, and most of all, impact. And that's exactly where today's conversation connects. Because whether we're talking about substances, social media, or attention, we're really talking about the same thing: awareness and influence. Who are you when nobody's watching or listening? And what choices are shaping your story? That's deep. Some of us are afraid to look, according to Michael Jackson, at the man in the mirror because we're afraid of what we see, or not as or only afraid, sometimes we're ashamed of what we see, or we're embarrassed by what we see. And the real thing is, who are we when nobody is watching? That's called integrity. Okay, so let's be real here. Some of us treat 420 like it's a personality trait. I don't have hobbies, I have vibes. What's that? But then again, that's some of the millennial balance. And we may not be too familiar with it. What about the older generation? What about, should I say, my generation? Don't tell anybody. But we'll go like that. Okay? So, what is this? How do we shape it? How do we shape our life, our narratives? Is it perchance? Is it intentional? Is it strategic? Are we going in a particular direction, or we just going where the people or the ball drops? John Kabat-Zinn is one of mindfulness gurus, and he reminds us that you can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. If you cannot learn to surf, you can learn to float, like me. I had 3 experiences of near drowning experiences, so I am still terrified of going out into the deep. At least you can give me credit. I said 3. That means after the first one, I tried again. After the second one, I tried again. It hasn't happened after the third one. But I go from horizontal, left to right to the shore, but I can float. Okay, so I can float. So you may not be able to surf, but can you float? So today isn't about judgment. It's about awareness, our self-awareness. How are we, how are our choices grounding us? Or in what direction are they pulling us away? Are they pulling us east, right? Or how is it going? How is it happening with us? Excuse me. Okay, so if you were with me season 1, you know the story about this allergies thing, right? And it's even really good this year. So we're not going to make it pull us in one direction. We're going to keep focus as we're talking about our main character energies. So let's reframe this. Main character energy versus real community impact. Remember, when we're talking about the main character syndrome, it was only about self to a certain level of narcissism. Okay, it's all about me. But in this context, we're speaking to how we impact others, how we bring others with us. What is our supporting cast? Yeah, because life is really not about us. We all have a village, whether it's consciously chosen or haphazardly. There is a village supporting us, where the main character isn't about doing whatever you want in every scene. It's about understanding how our actions affect the full cast of our lives. So there is a level of awareness of our impact, our behaviors, how it affect people in our immediate circle, on our external circle, our family, our immediate family, people at school, people at work, how it does affect us. Okay. And by extension, we could even pull in mental illness, because there are certain things that we do and we are not aware of it, because there may be undiagnosed things that's going on with us, or our own trauma that's exhibiting itself is coming out in other ways that we are unaware of. But hence brings us back to self-awareness. How much of it do we really want to be aware in terms of our impact and our influence of those around us, to create a ripple, which is what the youth effect is about. Youth effect is, when we're young and we go to the river or even the sea and we drop a pebble in the water, how it makes the ripples cascading outward, and the further out it goes, the bigger it gets. That is why we call this the youth effect, the ripple effect from our youth and to everybody, the impact that we make, the impact the youth is making. So, what impact are we making with regards to our main character energy? Remember what's the main character, right? When we were in primary school and we had to do comprehension and we had to say who the main story was about, who was the main character, the plot. Remember those things? And we sometimes we say we'll never use that in our life, but we use it every day in our life when we speak about characters or plots and scenes. This is where it's applicable. How do we understand how our actions affect the full cast of our life? Sometimes in the heat of the moment we don't, but are we reflective and are we empathetic? Do we reverse? Do we apologize? All those things stem from our level of self awareness as well as of our level of compassion and empathy towards others. I'm still a work in progress. I'm working on that myself. And it is until our number is called, we are always a work in progress. Every decision we make, what we engage in, what we normalize, what we prioritize, it becomes part of our storyline. If we want to put it in the terms of a story, because this is what we're talking about, main character. Every day, everything we do, we are writing our story. We are writing our narrative. Okay? Which is why we need to be intentional. Because we don't want to say, oops, I make a mistake and I didn't mean this and I didn't mean that. Sometimes we cannot. There is an ad. I cannot remember. There is an ad which speaks to is it I think it's substance abuse as well. Smoking, I think it is. Or, but I'm not too sure. But it's an abuse of some substance. And they're showing that, like one of the advertisements, a pedestrian is crossing the road, riding across on a bicycle, and they're hit with a vehicle, by a vehicle. And the ad says, life cannot be reversed. Life cannot be reversed. We need to be intentional. We need to be aware of the things that we're doing, decisions that we are making. And it's never too late to start. It's always the right time. No is always the right time to do anything. It is like, what is this doing to my direction, my discipline, my relationships, my future cast, or the people that I have in my lives? Give me a minute. My future cast or the future relationships that I intend to develop into in my circle. This year, for me, I want one of my intentional decisions in development of relationships is with my nieces and nephews. That is my primary focus on this year. And it comes back to the main character and my cast that has foreshadowed me before. And there have been people there for me. And being the eldest aunt, I should be there for them too in different ways. You know, when we're growing up, life takes us in different directions and we're too busy. We're always busy. We're always busy. But life takes us into a direction where we always have to schedule things in. For a nap, schedule it in. Stop saying, I'm busy. I don't have time for this. I'm busy. I don't have time to reflect. I don't have time to do me time. It needs to be scheduled in. All that helps with your self-awareness. We spoke about giving you tips. Okay? So it's about, first tip is schedule time in. Schedule time in. And you're wondering, how do I schedule time in? 5 minutes, toilet time? That is not difficult. Everybody needs to go to the bathroom. Use an excuse. When you go to the bathroom, just take time off and just reflect on whatever the situation was 2 minutes ago. sit down and reflect. Should I have said that? How can I do this again better? Okay, there is always another opportunity as long as we have breath to correct. There's always another opportunity to do better, to improve. And that there's another thing that says, I'm not in competition with anybody other than myself to be a better version of who I was today. So I should be better today than who I was yesterday. And that's where the work should be. All right. That's where the work should be. Focusing on our inner energies, who we are supposed to be, who we are working to be. But I believe too that we are born who we are supposed to be, but sometimes it gets buried beneath all the baggage and the trauma and the pain and the helplessness and the guilt. That's the baggage. So when people say to me, I'm finding myself, I don't impose what I think. I ask first if I may suggest something. If they say yes, I say, well, I don't believe that you were ever lost. I don't believe we are lost. The true us has just been buried by a lot of baggage. And we just have to declutter. Now we're in spring. Declutter is a great time for decluttering. Empty those dark color cupboards and cobwebs and clean out and declutter. That is a great tip, a great step for developing mindfulness and self-awareness. Thich Nhat Hanh, who's another guru, said, the present moment is filled with joy and happiness. If you are attentive, you will see it. If you are attentive, you will see it. What is it to be attentive? Attentive, like when we say attentive listening, is listening to understand and not to respond. Be open. Give the person who has speaking to you your full focus. Listen and hear what it is that they're saying. Not for you preparing a response, but listening to what they really say, because there's so much distractions between these waves or voice waves between what they say and by the time it reaches our ears, because it's clouded and distracted by our own inner biases. Okay, and our biases are influenced by our experiences. That's how they are formed. So we always see things through our own colored lenses. And then we have this argument. This is not what you said. Somebody could have said something, but because we were not listening, when it was coming to us, we interpreted it through the lens of our own experience. And we heard something which they did not say. Okay? So be attentive. And if we're not sure what somebody is saying, ask. This is what I'm hearing. Is that what you're trying to say? This is what I understand that you're saying. So all that is also about developing awareness and developing empathy for people. So the real flex isn't escape, it's presence. Presence, presence, presence. Okay? Sometimes we are there in body, but we are not there. We are not fully there. Especially sometimes our children are speaking to us and we're on the phone. We're eating, we're watching a movie, or we're watching news, and our children are speaking to us, and we're like, yes, I'm hearing you. I just want to see, I'm hearing you. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Why? Because we talk. We're supposed to be listening twice as much as we speak. Okay? And when someone is speaking to us, our ears should be focused on hearing what it is they're saying to us, listening to them. And it's also about a matter of respect. You know, we want our kids to respect us. Well, you know what? Those things are modeled. It says children leave what they learn. and they learn behaviors from us. We mentor those things to them as their first caregivers or primary caregivers. They learn from us. So we know, we grow up. Some of us grow up in a time, or some of you grow up in a time that says, "Do as I say, not as I do." But it doesn't work like that. It works in the reverse. Our behaviors are modeled, our children model our behaviors. Okay, so always be attentive in the present moment because it never comes back. This is all we have. The present, the now is all we have. It doesn't come back. Let's bring it back to our story, and let's bring it back to your story. Who's your village? Who supports your growth? Who complements your growth? Who validates you? Who challenges your discipline? Sometimes a lot of times when people love us and they challenge us about being better, it's not because they hate us, it's because they love us so much. They want to see we becoming the full potential of who they know we can be. And some of us take offense to that. And we notice, and then sometimes we love others and we want to tell them or share with them because we love them, and it doesn't come off right. It comes off in a form of judgmental criticism. It comes off like anger. It comes off sarcastic. It comes off toxic. And it's not that because we do not love them, it's because we do not know how to share it. We do not know how to share it. We do not know how to communicate it. Because a lot of those things were not taught to us. We did not know how to, we were not taught how to communicate our emotions. We were not taught how to express our own narratives, how to express ourselves. I'm sure I've said that before. In my household, and even as a teacher, when I ask anybody, my kids, one of the words that are not in my vocabulary at all: good, nice, okay, fine, and you can add to that, I'm okay. What does that say? If we do not have an explicit word for how we feel, how can we fix it? How can we work on it? How can we develop tools to cope with what it is that we're feeling? I am feeling sullen today. I am feeling melancholic today. I am feeling excited today. I am feeling lethargic. Just not tired. Lethargic says exactly where you're at. Lethargic is no energy for nothing. We just want to plop down on the couch and do nothing. Okay? My head hurts. I have according to all the Spanish say, I have a pain in my head. Express it succinctly so the other person on the other side will know how to understand and how to interpret it. But when we give generalizations, somebody is going to put that word for you. She said feeling good. Well, I guess she says okay. And then it still doesn't say anything. It still doesn't say anything. So let's be intentional in developing those relationships and those words that express ourselves. Knowing who our village is, knowing who supports us. And on the flip side, people support us. Are we showing up for them the same way they show up for us? Reciprocity, effort. We spoke about that last week in terms of developing relationships, yes? There are so many one-sided relationships, and we hear a lot of people saying, well, and one of the things I said last week too is know your place in people's lives, know your value in people's lives, and step back, step out quietly. We haven't got to confront anybody. We haven't got to say anything because remember, your experience is different from somebody else. You may feel a way, and the other person may not know or not understand what it is you're trying to relate to them. Well, if you're not happy about it, just step back and it's okay. There are so many other relationships that you can develop and network and get to know people, get to do things. And for a starter, get to know yourself. Sit down in your aloneness. Remember, aloneness is not loneliness. These are two different things. If us as people, as parents, cannot sit with ourselves in our own quiet, how we expect our children to not follow ban? They're following us. It's simple as that, they're following us. Remember, we are their role models. If they're seeing that we always have to have company, they never see you sitting back with yourself, they wouldn't know how to do it. They wouldn't know how to do it. So it's not too late to sit with yourself. If you're sitting with yourself and thoughts come and you don't understand it, journal it, write it down. Use your audio on your phone and record it. And then you can always delete it. Studies have proven that when you release things and you hear yourself and you have counsel with yourself, it sets a tone for clarity for you instead of just letting it die and bury inside you. Because things that we resist, they grow. Things that we deny, they grow. So let's be open and honest with ourselves. Okay? Why? Why should we do that? Because a strong main character doesn't lose themselves in distractions. Focus. They stay aware of the full script. What's the script? The script, your purpose, where you're going. Have we sat down and reflecting on where we're going, what we want, or how we are going to be supportive for our kids? It's not about us, it's about them. We are not the main characters in their life. We are their supporting cast. And a lot of us still believe that it's about us. It's not about us. Letting go is hard, let me tell you. I'm still in the process of doing my best to allow my girls to develop their own narrative. And it's hard to let go. But we have to allow them to do that for themselves. Because how else are they going to learn to be the main characters in their own script, in their own story, other than if we flip it over on the other side, allow other people to write it for them? We have to teach them how to be independent, what values they need to implement within this. Some of us don't have values. We don't. And then some of us have values and we do not know the words or the names for it. So here's homework for you. What are your values? As a segue, what are your values? Because our values dictate our life. Our values dictate our journey. Our value undermines our decision making. Hence, our story. Our story. Okay? So let's check in here. When it comes to influence and choices, where are we right now? We can say, here's a little poll, okay? We can say A, I move with full awareness of my choices. Or B, I'm figuring out balance between fun and discipline. Or it could be C, I sometimes follow the crowd without thinking. Or D, I'm learning how to be more intentional every day. Do we know what it means to be intentional? Okay. To make a factual decision, a factual conclusion, to think of what we're going to say before we say it, to think of how actions going to impact others, to decide this is who I am and this is who I'm going to be and I'm going to work towards that. No distractions, focus. That's what it is to be intentional in examples. Okay? Intend. I intend to do this. Okay? So intend would be the root word right here. All right? Let me tell you something, Matula again. Really know about root words. So it's so, our foundations are built up. We have all those mentors and those role models in our lives. And if we just sit down and reflect on all the people who have come before us and how they have impacted us, how they have impacted the formation of our characters, that can tell us a lot too. Who are the people we have looked up to as our mentors? Who are the people we look up to as role models in our lives? And we can still do it today, being intentional. Sit down, look at who you want to be. Look at all the people around you. Research, research. People with, you can maybe not know somebody's name, but you can Google it. People with such and such value that you want to inculcate within yourself, and then have them as your role model. Have them as your role model. I won't tell you what mine is yet, but I sat down and did that activity 2 months ago, because your role models can change, depends on what phase you are in your life. Okay. And sat down and I'm like, this is the value, and this is the character I want to work towards in terms of developing myself, working on my level of integrity and everything else, and my ethics, my work ethics. Who can be a perfect role model for me in that regard, based on who I am right now and where I believe I stand? And I found one, came in a strange way, in a strange place, but you know, and every time I falter, I look towards that person and I say, he would, he did much better than that, because he's dead right now. In all what he was going through, in all what he experienced, he did this. And that serves also as a real push. Sometimes I really don't feel like it, because we're not going to feel motivated all the time. And it's not anything, people tend to say it's about discipline. Yes, it can be about discipline, can be about consistency. Sometimes you don't feel any of it. You just get up and you just know you have to do it. If that is discipline, then so be it. But I'm still working on that level of discipline myself. And consistency. None of us is perfect and we're all striving to be there. But that person stands as a light for me, always in the forefront of me, of my face. Whenever I say I cannot do it, I'm like, he did it. In spite of, he did it. So I am not nearly as close as where he was. So I can do it. I can do it. I can put one step in front of the other and I can do it too. Okay, we can all do it. We can all put our foot, our step, one in front the other. We can do it too. Don't feel any which way and feel that you cannot do what is there for you. So how do you feel? Do you feel like you have some level of understanding of what main character energy is? Last week we spoke about, is it self-confidence? So is it self-confidence, or is it disillusionment? Being disillusioned. I'm seeing some okay. Oh, Cecilia Joseph Cook. Hey, Cece. Yep, especially when they get older, we have to continue the supporting role. Very, very true. Thank you so much for saying that. It is very true. We have to be supportive. We have to be supportive. We cannot just be. It's not about us. Michael Jackson has a song, It's Not About Us, right? Yes, it's not about us. So we have to be supportive. And that's the only thing we can be to our kids, is to be supportive. And it's our time to stand back. No, not necessarily in the shadows, but just they're making them know that, aware that we are there for them. Sometimes we tend to take the lead role. We tend to take the lead role. We need to express our voice. We need to confront, you know. We fire the entire cast. We rewrite the script and then we put ourselves in it. We direct the whole movie and we still give ourselves all the awards. Oh my God, it reminds me of somebody, a famous person that we all know. They even seek out awards. Is that what we do sometimes? We seek out awards even though the obvious is in our faces, you know? What happens when our main character energy starts ignoring the people who help build our story? Hmm. Sometimes we hear people say, I don't know if I know she ungrateful. She ungrateful. I helped her to this and I helped her to do that. She's ungrateful. Yeah, at the same time, people can be ungrateful. We cannot we cannot guide or we cannot control how people behave. But when we do things for people, it's not for us to get lauded over it or praise over it. We should be doing things out of the goodness of our hearts and just leave it there. People not even supposed to know if we do something good for someone. Just leave it there because our rewards are where? In heaven. For me, it may be selfish. I do good deeds. I like to do good deeds. But you know what? It's because I'm coward. Because I am so I'm so I so love my kids, my girls, that I only want blessings to come on them. And I believe with that part in the Bible that says, oh, the good that we do or the bad that we do lives with us, as well as another part says it falls on your generation and a generation after generation. I don't want anything that I do bad to fall on my girls. You know, we have a thing we talk about karma. Karma is really about cause and effect. Okay, it's not about bad things alone. If we do good things gonna come around to us. If we do bad things, it will find its way back some way in our lifetime, in our afterlife, on our generations. It will come back. I just want blessings for my girls, and then inevitably, it became basically a part of me. It becomes a part of you. Just do good. Of course, with boundaries. Of course, with boundaries because people take advantage. Mhm. People take advantage. So just be very, very careful. Okay? Remember, we cannot control everything in our story. Remember when we talk about you don't need to learn to swim, but you can learn to surf or you can learn to float. Right. We cannot control everything in our story. But we can control how we show up in it, especially with other people. What does that mean? When they talk about show up for yourself, I showed up for myself today. Okay, so what is it I want to do? I may not necessarily want to lose weight. I love the way I look, but I want to be healthy. I want to be fit. I want to start walking. Even though it's 10 minutes a day, I want to start walking again. And the weather is perfect for it. So how am I going to show up for myself? I schedule my 10 minutes. Even though it's on lunch, I'll get up from my desk and I'll do 10 minutes walking at lunchtime. I will create a habit tracker. So if I'm doing it for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, or Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'll put Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and every day I do it, I will put a check by it. This is showing up for me, keeping myself accountable. Or if sometimes we cannot trust ourselves, we need an accountability partner. Two of you go walking. Sometimes we don't feel like doing it, but because we know we have to be accountable or help someone else, it helps us to move. All that is works in helping us to be self-aware. And in walking, when we're talking about presence earlier, it speaks to a lot of times I see people walking and in their phone like this. There is so much to take in. I love people watching. I love people watching. There can be so much fun and humor in watching people do funny things on the road. It's just you will never know if you do not pay attention. If you're not present in the moment. You're listening to a song, sit down and listen to the song. Okay? One of the things we do whenever I'm walking, Motsi, which is my dog, I listen to the birds, especially right now it's springtime. There is a different chorus of birds in the trees. And the way um even though it's killing me with this pollen, it's so beautiful to see what plants sprout up first in spring. The tulips are absolutely beautiful. Okay. And you see those little differences. You see the first trees that blossom, that the little birds, green birds are coming out of. You know, it's to take in all that wonder. Even look at the clouds in the sky. Sometimes we see faces in the sky. When we were kids, we used to do those things all the time. What happened to us? Presence. Get back into your, we need to get back into our kid self, in our kid zone. Okay? And just be present. If we're cooking, be present in our cooking. If we're cleaning, be present in our cleaning. Yes, Mr. Tony, let me see. No, it's so, the right is so small on my screen. Okay, thank you. Making and keeping the promises we make to ourselves is challenging if we are not intentional. Oh, that is a very, very strong observation. Tony. It's hard for me to call him Tony, because he was my teacher in high school. I still say Mr. Drago. But yes, if we are not intentional, if we don't say, I am going to do this, if I'm not going to show up for myself today, it's going to be hard to keep our word to ourselves. If we say we love me, we have to keep our word. One of the 4 agreements, well, it's 5 now because he created another one, is to keep our word. Okay? And the first person we do things for is ourselves. We cannot keep a secret, or we cannot say, I will do this for you, for somebody else, if we cannot do it for ourselves. It's not going to work. Okay? We need to show up for ourselves. We need to keep our word to ourselves. We need to show up for ourselves. And by what? It is my favorite word, being intentional. Being intentional. Okay, so it's really not about our show or my show. It's us being on a stage. We hear one thing that says, "A world's our stage." A lot of people quote that from, is it Shakespeare? I don't want to say Shakespeare. It could have been somebody else who said it other than Shakespeare. It could have been, and it could have been somebody else. So I'm not going to say that. But we say often, the world is our stage, but we are not the main characters. Everything we do has a ripple effect. Everything we do impacts those in our inner circle, those in our outer circle, and ripples out further to even those who are not exactly in our circle. We will be surprised to see how, I believe, is another one of the mindfulness things, so that we believe that everybody is connected. It's also I forget the word I'm saying. One of the beliefs of one of the religions, and for some reason it has slipped my mind. But they believe that everything is interconnected. We are all connected. It's a network, because also we are all energy. We are all energy, and when we sit back and we think, when somebody walks into the room and they are upset, how does that affect you? How does that affect you? They are the main character in their story. But how does it affect even those of us in the back scenes? How does it affect us? It energy creeps through. And we spoke about that last week. It's a rule of physics. Energy cannot be destroyed. It can be transformed from one thing to another, but it cannot be destroyed. It cannot be created. It's transformed, and it passes from one person to the other so quick. And an atmosphere and an environment can change so quickly. Which brings me to, let's see that. Let's have a chat. You know, not being feminist or anything, or bringing those kind of terms, but us as the women are in this context at the head of the home, right? No, don't say I knew that I'm the boss. No, 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 no. In terms of setting the environment in your home, it solely depends on us how we answer. The other day I did something. I was in a mood and I answered my mother in a rough way. And my daughter pulled me up and she says, Mommy, this is not acceptable behavior. And I'm like, oh, whatever. She says, no. And if I had done that, you would have said I was rude. Of course, I had to pull myself up. I had to pull myself up because that is how I raised her. And I raised them to be vocal, respectfully so, but they have to leave as they learn because that is what they know. We create the environment in our home. If we go out and we come home and we bring all the workload home and everything else, and we come home in a huff and a puff, oh, they got me so upset at work and I cannot deal with anybody at home. That was the entire atmosphere. I was in a conference once, and I cannot exactly remember one, but I think it was with Sister Tina Alexander, and we were doing pieces. I think it's yes, we're doing a pieces weekend workshop, and one of the things I learned from that, which I carry with me to this day, is an imaginary tree. If you have a tree at your home or in front of your door, or it could be a column or something, you can use it before you go home. Or some people just stay in their cars if you have a car, or some people use their walk home to do it. It's all about being intentional in setting the environment in your home when you get home, in relaxing, so you can be ready for home. Because everybody wears different hats, many hats. It's called the talking tree. So the guy was saying that on his way, whenever he gets home, he has a tree in front of his house, a big tree. He puts down his bag and he sits on the roots of the tree, and he talks to himself and he lets out and he reflects on his day, and then he leaves it on the tree. Doesn't go into his house with anything that happened. He leaves it on the tree. So when he goes in, he takes a deep breath. He's now puts on his different hat. He's calm. It's not about carrying stress. You release it intentionally. Reflect on it, and that only can take 5 minutes. It can even take 30 seconds. Okay? But just before you step in to another environment, we leave that there on that tree. When we're going out, we can pick it up again and bring it back to work. At home, what we do is when anybody comes home, well, they, of course, I'm kind of I can be overbearing, mommy. No matter what age they are. Good night, sweetheart. How was your day? And we full attentive to what each other says. You let it out, you rant, you rave, and then you breathe, and you let it go, and you go about your night, and you sleep well. Okay? So it's about providing a safe space for your kids, a safe space for your partners, a safe space for whoever lives with you by being able to be open and receptive to correction. You know, people say, who are you? You're just a child. No, we are teaching the children. And they are people too, and we have to respect them. And sometimes they learn certain things that we do not teach them, but they learn from other people as well. Okay? Which is more reason why we have to be intentional in our relationships with our kids and not take up that main character syndrome that is all about me. I am the mother, I am the breadwinner, I am this. So you have to listen to me, you have to do as I say. No, it doesn't go so. Okay? It doesn't go so. The supporting characters in our children's lives, we are the supporting characters, as Sissy reminded us. And it doesn't matter how old they are. It doesn't matter how old they are. They are supporting characters. They are supporting characters, other people in our village with opinions. What are we going to do? I posted something on my status. I think I posted on my Facebook thing too. If not, I will. But it was something I saw with regards to, I can listen, I'm thinking to know, where the guy was saying that, let me just try to get it. He says he read somewhere that self-care is also choosing not to argue, okay, with people who are committed to misunderstanding you. And he said that, that really took me. I sat with it for a while. And I realized, in growing up and being mature, is about, before I used to think it's about finding the right words to say. Sometimes we don't have to say anything. I used to be very, very confrontational. And now I find it's not only because I'm growing older, it's because I have made a commitment to myself to be intentional about picking my battles and eliminating drama from my life. And if we do that, we will see how it changes the peace that we have within ourselves. Pick our battles. It was my sister Diane who I first heard that that phrase. I cannot exactly remember who said it. I was just looking at it today, but I cannot remember the author. You can look it up. A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. No matter how hard we have an argument going on with someone, I am right. This is what you should do. If the person is not is still deep in their belief of what they believe in, or this is what they want to do, nothing you say is going to change their mind. They might tell you, okay, yes, for peace sake, but that's not going to change your mind. And my newfound thing now in being intentional is just using the power of okay. I know I stand firm in something I believe, you stand firm in something you believe. Arguing about it is not going to bring anybody anywhere. Okay, I will give it some thought. You may have a point there. You may have a point there. Look into it. It doesn't say they win, but this is how we grow to. Today you believe in something firmly, and somebody comes with an opposing point of view. But by listening to their arguments, you go and you do your further research, and your mind might be changed. Point in check. I look at a lot of documentaries lately, and that is my thing. My movies don't entertain me anymore. And I love espionage, but it's the same script now. So I'm into learning a lot about the world and different things. And I was looking at yesterday flat earthers, their point of view. You know what flat earthers are? People who believe the earth is flat. Yeah, earth is flat. And one of those people who believe that, he said he was actually doing research to debunk the idea that the world is flat, but then he got pulled into it, and his research maybe brought him to the conclusion that the world is indeed flat. We're not going to have an argument about that. This is what they believe, and we believe the earth is wrong. I haven't been in outer space. I don't know what the earth looks like. I am just going with what I was taught in geography and what NASA scientists just told me when they came back from the moon or from space just last week, a couple of weeks ago. Okay. And with all these conspiracy theories going around, we have to be grounded in who we believe ourselves to be. If you have no rudder, you will go in any direction. You will go in any direction, and anything people say, you'll be carried up with it. Any wind that blow, you will go. Okay, and I'm sure we have heard that term before. Any wind that blow, you'll go. What is your narrative? What is your story? What is your plot? Where are you? What is the character that you are within that plot, and who are your supporting actors? We have to be intentional on who our supporting cast is. And we have to declutter when those have no value. They don't add any value. And sometimes, as we hear that a lot, and we mention those things a lot, but sometimes we just say it just for fluff. But everything is for a season. And some people come into our lives for a season and for a reason and for a lesson. But because we want to hold on into them so much, with so much resistance, that's where our pain comes. When we do not want to let go things, we allow ourselves to be in pain as opposed to accepting what is the lesson this had to teach me? What is the lesson that person came to teach me? What did they give me? What can I take away from it? And we move on. It's like a ladder. Some people meet us when they're going up. We meet them when they're going down. We say hello. You see, like the ants, when the ants are going together, they stop and they touch each other and they move on. They meet another one, they touch, they move on. Letting go, presence, be present. This is what's going on now. It may not necessarily be for the next moment. And every moment of intentionality, when we have young minds to help form, we must be intentional of our actions. We must be intentional of the direction in which we're going. We must be intentional in the relationship that we are developing with the people close around us. Sometimes we will never be able to change people. And one of the hardest things is allowing people to be themselves. What are you going to do? Beat somebody up that's never going to change? You just have to pick your battles. Pick your battles, step away, and let people be themselves. If you cannot do it, then break contact. If you get so upset with that person that every time I see her, she messes up my day, then you know she's going to pass on street A, go the long way so that your peace will be preserved. But you are the main character. You create your script, and we need to be intentional of where it's going. We need to be intentional of the village we create for ourselves and the village we create for our kids. When we were growing up, what our parents used to say, that girl is bad company. I don't want you following that girl. I don't want you following that boy. These are bad company. Show me your friends and I'll show you who you are. The Bible also says that who we congregate with, that's what we will attract. That's who we will become. Maybe not subconsciously, not consciously, but subconsciously. That's why we need to be intentional of who we need to be around. The Bible also tells us, yeah, I know I'm speaking a lot about the Bible. The Bible is a book of wisdom, just like any of the other religions. I might pick out stuff from them too. But the Bible is a great book which tells us that if we sit with fools, that's the language we will speak. But if we sit among men of wisdom, then guess what? We will always be learning something new. We will someday be in their categories. So what is it that we want to be? Wise or foolish? Or are we so caught up in our main character syndrome and so confident in ourselves that we will never fall? Our friends go out, they do all kind of bad things, but because I know myself, I will never fall. I can still be friends with them. You know what I say about myself? I never trust myself. So I prefer to err on the side of caution. And age brings those things too. Err on the side of caution. So you can call me coward, but I prefer to be safe than sorry. All right? Call me all what names you want. I have nothing to defend. I have nothing to prove. I have nothing, no validation getting from anybody but myself. I prefer to be safe rather than sorry. So it's what you want to do. It's what you want to do with yourself, what direction you want to go with yourself. Okay? Right now it is 9 o'clock and you're looking at the Youth Effect. And I am Kathy Robinson and I'm your host. We're going to stop right now for a quick break from our sponsors. Remember, you are the main character, and stay tuned to hear the rest of the tips on how to develop our own self-awareness.
Running a radio station shouldn't be chaos. It should be simple, smart, and professional. With Joan Premium, your entire week schedule is beautifully organized and easy to manage. Real-time accuracy keeps your listeners in sync with every show. Your visitors and audience sees the right schedule every time, wherever they are. They can even choose different time zones. From analytics to social media and native app integration, Joan Premium is the professional tool your station deserves. You're never alone. We provide priority support for active license users. We're building a community. Connect with broadcasters worldwide through our Joan Community Hubs. Choose your plan, annual flexibility, or lifetime freedom. Get Joan Premium today. www.gndenterprisesinc.com or call 877-698-9894 for more information.
And we are back. We are back. I hope you're thinking of what self-awareness means to you. And what when we talk about main character syndrome and main character energy, where do you fall in that? Which one are you? And which one would you like to be? That is the question. It's never too late to start somewhere. It's just important that we start. Okay? So it's not about whether we have confidence or we don't have confidence. That's not the problem. We want you confident. We want you to walk in the room like your name is on the building and you own the room. That is called presence. We don't have to loudly blabber it for people to feel your presence. That's something totally different. Okay? But confidence without awareness, that's when it turns into talking at people instead of with them, wanting support but not giving it, expecting applause but not giving acknowledgement. When we take all the credit when everything wasn't about us alone. there's something Brené Brown reminds us of. She says, connection is why we're here. It is what gives purpose and meaning to our lives. Remember when I talked about connection earlier, when I said everything, all of us are interconnected in one way or the other? Everything is connected. All life, everything is connected. So if your story has no real connection, what are you actually building? If you are the main character in your story and nobody else matters, what story are you creating? Okay, let's do a quick check in. No acting, just honesty. Okay. Another little poll. Who are three people in your life that support your growth? It's almost like the little poll we did earlier on. So we're going to come to it again. Take the time and think. But if you have a pen and paper, you can write. Three people you're not even supposed to think. If that is three people that's there constantly supporting you, it's going to come like this. On the other hand, do they feel valued by you? Have you told them that song? Have I told you lately how much I love you? Okay, don't expect me to be a singer. If I had to make a living from that, my family would be dead. Okay? Have I told you lately that I loved you? Have you told the people in your life lately how you value them? You don't have to wait for a birthday. You don't have to wait for Christmas. You don't have to wait for Easter. You don't have to wait for any special occasion. Every moment you wake up and your life is a special moment to show value, appreciation, acknowledgement to something somebody does for you or just being in your life. Okay? Or are they just there in the background? They are extras in your movie, feeling taken for granted, that when they see you, they know it's something she wants. But because they love you, they're giving and giving and giving. Are you a taker? Or are you also, you give in reciprocity? We have to come to a point in our life where we have to sit down and figure out who we are, or have we reached the potential that we can at this present moment in our life. But again, here's the real question. What role do we play, or what role do you play in their story? We spoke about reciprocity in relationships, in effort. Effort, also giving effort in relationships. Do you do that? Or you only call when you want something, or when you want to go somewhere, or when you're having a big problem and you want someone to listen to you? Are you there when they want an ear? When they just want a presence? Because sometimes people do not want an answer, they want to be able to rant without you telling them what to do. It's just to listen. Just attention, just to know that they are also important and they also are valued. Do we sit down and listen to our children when they're expressing themselves? Or we just think they are children and they don't understand the world? Their world is quite chaotic, especially adolescents, their world is very, very chaotic. They are at this point in their time, they're searching for their identity. They want to be adult, but they still want boundaries. They may pretend they don't want boundaries, but they do want us to set boundaries for them. They will put resistance, but they do want the boundaries. And in all of that, sometimes we get angry because it's not really angry at them, We're angry for ourselves because we do not know what to do. Okay, nowhere in life or in this world we inhabit, children has ever come with a manual. So suck it up. We all on the same journey, we all on the same path. They don't come with a manual. But it's our responsibility to sit down and maybe break the cycle. Okay, so I didn't know how that was. That wasn't how I grew up. But there is so many resources out there. They even have, okay, AI and everything. To a thing, how do I deal with this situation with my daughter? How do I talk? There are so many books out there as well. I hope we're not like those people that say, if you do not want black people to learn something, put it in writing. Let us not be part of that statistic. We need to read. That's how we're going to educate ourselves. That's how we're going to learn to be there for our kids. We have to be intentional in parenting, intentional in being supportive to our children. When we were growing up, we will hear people say, "Oh, you have to be a parent. You cannot be a friend to your child. You cannot be both." Well, sorry to say, I believe I'm my children's friend, and I believe they're my friend too, because there is a safe space where they feel supported, where they believe they can be themselves, where they believe they can express anything, where they know the first point of contact if anything happens to them. No fear of judgment, no fear of rebuke, no fear of criticism. We need to be that first point of safety. So we have to learn it, and we have to go out there and find the information. So, what value do we make them feel in our story? Do they feel valued by us? You know, we go on to the love languages as well. Children and people in our life has their own love, they all have their own love language. We may do something about that in another episode. Okay? Because people respond more to their love language. And it's all about learning. And I applaud you for being here again with me tonight, because that means you want to learn, you want to understand, you want to be part of that community of the intentional generation of bridging that gap with our younger of our younger descendants, you know. And that's a good thing. And I applaud you for being here with me all the time, every Monday, and for replays and speaking about it and sharing the word. Remember, you can watch us on TDN network platforms. And right now we have Twitch and Kathy Robinson Peter Live. Like, subscribe, comment, share, all right? So that it can get out on how we can connect with our children, how we can connect with the other young people and our community in making it a better, what a better, safer, peaceful place to live in. We have to focus on our little niche where we live in making it a better place to be. What role do we play in each other's story? Okay, let's have a little scene. Let's look at the kids. So even at work too, we have group projects, right? And one person, let's call them Director Diva. Okay, Director Diva. The name says it all. Director Diva takes over everything. Doesn't listen, it doesn't collaborate, just vibes and control. Her voice is the only voice you're hearing. Everybody's expressions and suggestions are squelched. Nobody's own is ever good enough. So tell me, is that main character energy, or is that main character syndrome? Is that insecurity in disguise? Which one do you think it is? A mindful leader says, I know I can shine, and I can make space for you to shine too. I know I can shine, and I can make space for you to shine too. It's not about us. Other people have to shine as well. And that's what makes a great leader. A leader or a teacher always wants their students to be better than them. Always. We come back again to Thich Nhat Hanh. We are here to awaken from the illusion of our separateness. Remember? The illusion of our separateness. We live in this society right now that has adapted to the West individuality concept. Everything is about me. Everything is about I. In the Caribbean, where we grew up, even in the Caribbean African culture, it was about community. It was about the village, the supportive network. But the West, we believe, no, it's an individual thing. It's about I. But then the mindfulness gurus remind us it's a connection. We are not doing life alone. Even if our playlist says otherwise, we are not doing life alone. It's an illusion, right? There will always be people walking around us, and regardless of what we think, will our behaviors will always impact people in our circles. It will ripple outwards and impact outwards, and the circle gets larger and larger and larger. We are not alone. Imagine watching a movie where one character does everything, although there are some plays where it is a solo thing and the person plays plenty things, but how long can we go on doing that? They talk to themselves, they solve everything, they clap for themselves. That's not a movie. That's a problem. But which one we are most guilty of? Let's do another little poll. I low-key act like everything revolves around me. I support others but forget to own my voice. You understand what I just said? You're afraid to talk. You don't own your voice. You don't express what you're feeling. You stifle everything inside. So I support others but forget to own my voice. I try to balance both, but it's a work in progress. What both? Owning your voice as well as supporting others. Or you believe I'm the glue. I hype everyone else up. You can be honest with yourself. This we're judge free here, and also a growth required zone. Allow yourself to be honest with yourself. Sometimes the truth is bittersweet, but it's a point of growth. It's a seed planting. It is a seed planting. Okay. So we've spoken about lots of stuff with regards to main character syndrome and main character energy, as opposed to what we spoke about last week, in how we can also allow the spotlight to fall on others within our cast. Because in any movie scene, the main character is not always in the spotlight. Supporting characters are there as well. Okay? Strongest main characters, they don't just shine, they build, they uplift, and they grow with their cast. Always. They build, they uplift, and they grow with their cast. And as we come down to the last minutes of our program, let's just point out some of the areas on where we can grow as main character, or our main character presence is felt. There's a difference between our confidence and the illusion of being the point at which the world revolves around. Okay? Which one do you have? Everything revolves around you, or you have a certain level of confidence within you, which emanate without, and people can feel that level of presence that you haven't got to blow your own horn all the time. There are times you have to blow your own horn, eh? Don't get me wrong. There are times you do have to blow your own horn. But is it that you're doing it every time? It's all about you. You can do no wrong. All the awards are yours, all the credit is yours. It's a difference. And when we speak about presence, we speak about how do we go about developing that? How do we go about building our self-awareness in how we impact our community around us? We need to declutter all the things and that doesn't value us. We have to learn, see the lessons in experiences, see the lessons in relationships, be able to let things go, let people go when they have served their purpose in our lives. Let them go. Move on. We cannot stagnate. Life is about growing. Life is about being better than who we were yesterday, who we were day before. And if we want to develop a generation of purpose-filled, purpose-driven confident, independent, maximize potential of our children and their friends and their circle, we have to reflect that. And we have to get it from within us by being what? Intentional. Intentionality takes us all the way. Self reflection, creating the aura and the environment in our homes, in our space, using our values as the foundation. And if we do not know what our values are, just give yourself a scenario and figure out what you would like and what you would not like, and you will know what your values are. And in all of this, sit down and reflect on who would be a best role model for you so you can reach your potential to where you want to be. Schedule time for yourself. Show up for yourself. That's the only way we can keep those promises to ourselves and keep those promises to our kids. Let me tell you, those children look at us closely. If we say we're going to do something and we don't know it, that is credibility taken away from us, because they know if mommy cannot keep her word to herself, how is she gonna keep her word to me? And sometimes we brush our children off. I'll bring a sweetie for you, and they come home and I'm like, oh, I forget tomorrow. I'll bring it tomorrow. I forget. My daughters keep me accountable when I do that, and it's okay for your children to keep you accountable when you do that, because we are pruning them to be people of integrity, to be able to keep their word, to be able to do their best in everything that they do. Okay, so let's be those role models. Let us be intentional in the decisions that we made. Let us create presence in our relationships, to be focused, to be attentive, to listen, to understand, and not listen to respond, to reflect on what values we stand for and stand on them as a foundation. Find out what our role model is and keep that person on their values and their character always in the forefront to help us to be a better person in the next moment. Love languages, people respond to that. And it will be another episode where we talk about love languages. Okay? So as deep as we come to the end, we remember again, I started off in my mindfulness journey. The first person I encountered in my research was Deepak Chopra. Excuse me. And as he puts it, he says, in the midst of movement and chaos, keep stillness inside of you. In the midst of movement and chaos, keep stillness inside of you. That stillness, that's where awareness lives. That's where you check yourself before you disconnect from others. That's where our intentionality stems from, moment by moment. Each moment is a decision that we take on how we're going to be in that moment, who we're going to be in that moment. And as we come down, I said to share with you, you don't lose your spotlight by sharing it. You expand your story by sharing it. Okay? So we don't have to go out and claim that level of attention. By just having presence, you share it, you expand it. Because the strongest main characters, as I mentioned earlier, they don't just shine. They build, they uplift, and grow with their cast. Always. They build, they uplift, and they grow with their cast. It's never too late. The best moment is always the now moment. Because what? We only have now. There is only now. All right? So you don't have to be having the perfect answers. It's about building awareness. It's about learning how to move through life with intention, not just reaction. Because being again a strong main character isn't about being the leader or isn't about having the loudest voice in the room. It's about being the most aware one in your own story. So, as we leave this episode, we ask ourselves, am I just living my story? Or am I actually shaping it? One of my mantras is create the life you want, live the life you enjoy, and enjoy the life you live. And you can only do that with intention. Remember, you are watching the Youth Effect, you're listening to it wherever you are. Wherever you are. And at the Youth Effect right here, we don't just talk about identity, we build it. So remember always, stay intentional, stay aware, and keep growing the story that's uniquely yours. Remember that. And if you want to follow up on this, I have a workbook that speaks to being or becoming the main character in your story with aura and confidence as opposed to illusion. Hit me up, the Youth Effect 767@gmail.com, and make your request for it. Okay? 767, the Youth Effect 767@gmail.com. All right? And send us a message on any of the platforms that you are watching us and request your copy. All right? And if you want anything to be customized for you, also you can make that request. Whatever it is that you are working towards or you want to work towards, we are here for you. The Youth Effect, where your voice matters, where the narrative of our youth is critical to the development of our society. I am Kathy Robinson Sayan, your host of the Youth Effect, and have an awesome, awesome week. And we'll see you next week again, right here, same time at the Youth Effect, 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Adios. Have a good one. Good night.
Yeah, Wooden Lens, we back with another one for the youths in them. Yeah, young brilliant minds, future in sight, got the power to make change, make the world ignite. Let nobody say you can't achieve your dreams are seeds, someone just watch them grow. But you gotta believe in them. The youth effect, we're raising up the youth effect. Can't hold us down. The youth effect, we breaking ground. The youth effect, they gonna hear us roar. Educate, we get the key, unlock the potential. A lesson every day, knowledge essential. Standing tall, walking proud, let your voice be heard. Unite together as one, spread the love with every word. The youth effect, we're raising up. The youth effect, can't hold us down. The youth effect, we breaking ground. The youth effect, they gonna hear us roar. Educate, we get the key, unlock the potential. A lesson every day, knowledge essential. Standing tall, walking proud, let your voice be heard. Unite together as one, spread the love with every word. The youth effect, we're raising up. The youth effect, can't hold us down. The youth effect, we breaking ground. The youth effect, they gonna hear us roar. Create, initiate, push through, no limits. Go ahead and live it up. Respect, positivity, you on your way. Break down walls, build bridges.